Like, let's say Alberta does become independent. Do we switch right away to an American dollar? Do we develop our own currency? Like, just maybe take us through some of the major points that you would see from a banking economic perspective, in the conversation of Alberta becoming an independent state.
Okay. First off, I'll say, as the CEO of Bow Valley Credit Union, I do not have a position on this. But if I was going to become a separate country, I think, yeah, you touched on a few points there. I would definitely transition to a US dollar first and basically be able to flip a switch and move everybody's Canadian dollar account and convert it into US or the equivalent effectively overnight, because I think it's important for people to understand that Alberta is effectively underpinning the Canadian dollar. Because we are a resource-based country, it might get wild in the Canadian FX exchange, foreign exchange, if Alberta decided to depart. So I think plans need to be sort of in place before a vote even happens around something like that. So now my recommendation would be go to US dollar first, because it's the most liquid and stable currency in the world. It's still a dirty shirt, but it's the least dirty shirt. I would also recommend getting a line of credit with one of the bigger banks in the United States for, say, $500 billion to give confidence to the people of Alberta that we can pay our bills, even though sort of day one, under the Value of Freedom document that Jeff Rath and the APP produced, we would be able to be solvent and sustainable effectively day one with our finances. But a line of credit would go a long way for assurance, as well as I think we would need a U.S. swap line with the U.S. government, the State Department, to basically continue with trade with our major trade partner, the U.S. And it makes a lot of sense because a U.S. swap line would allow you to trade oil and gas in U.S. dollars. It's convertibility. And again, you'd probably need about a $500 billion swap line minimum with something like that. If you eventually did want to transition to an Alberta dollar, what I would recommend is first moving to the US dollar and then setting up the structure behind it with basically a reserve behind the dollar. You wouldn't need 100% backing for the reserve, but say 30% backing for the reserve, and that reserve would consist of about 50% gold, 30% or 40% oil reserves, and then maybe another 10% for Bitcoin, to basically underpin and give confidence that the Alberta dollar does have something besides government promises behind it. Part of the challenge is to set up some kind of reserve structure like that. You likely would need something like a central bank. I'm not a huge proponent of central banks, so you'd have to really scale back what their powers are and their abilities to do behind that. And maybe their only function is to make sure that credit doesn't grow too fast within the commercial banking sector, meaning that commercial banks can't create loans to get to a place where there's a bubble, and asset prices get goosed, and basically ensure that the stabilization factor of the reserve of gold, Bitcoin, and oil is intact, and that effectively the dollars produced are not outstripping the need for production in Alberta. So anyway, that's a few ideas that
In a nutshell.
what I would recommend. Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like that would be in line with there are many who seek they see Alberta independence as a good opportunity to set up more maybe checks and balances on a government side, in addition to like a central bank that again was there to enforce, to provide that confidence and level playing field on the financial side. It's playing a slightly different focused role than central banks would be currently in a fiat system. So yeah, it would just need to be by design some really good focused direction when it comes to some of these things.
Yeah, no, and absolutely that and that'll take time to set up. as well. And so that's maybe what you do during the transition period from the US dollar.